these beings that people encounter in their recollection, they aren't sexual animals. They have no reproductive organs.
Well, sometimes they are, of course. I mean, this is one of the things that you get in the abduction narratives a lot, is there's a lot of sex in them.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, human beings have sex with these alien entities.
Oh, yes. You're familiar with David Huggins, right?
Well, Huggins is just one of, I'm sure there are thousands of these. I mean, I'm thinking of the very first abduction case we have on record is Antonio Villas-Boas, and it's sexual through and through.
Can you explain that one?
Yeah, from memory now.
Okay.
So, yeah, there you go. Brazilian farmer. He's out in the farm. It's at night. He's farming at night because it's cooler at night. A ship comes down, and they rub a kind of goo over him, and a female alien has sex with him.
Really?
Yeah, and then kind of points to her belly and points to the stars, and then takes off in the spaceship. I mean, it's clearly a sexual abduction.
Go back up. When was this, Steve?
1950s.
Go back to the Wikipedia or whatever that describes the story. Yeah, there you go. Antonio Villas-Boas.
Yeah, this is the first case.
From 1934 to died in 1991, a Brazilian farmer.
See, in October 15th, 1957. Yeah. Plowing his fields. There you go. So, yeah, a red star in the night sky. He's farming at night because it's cooler.
Right. Began descending and landing in the field, extending 3 legs as this did. He attempted to leave the scene on his tractor, but when the lights and the engine died, after traveling only a short distance, he decided to continue on foot. However, he was seized by a 5-foot-tall humanoid who was wearing gray coveralls and a helmet. His eyes were small and blue, and instead of speech, it made noises like barks and yelps. 3 similar beings then joined the first in subduing Boas, and they dragged him inside their craft. Once inside the craft, Boas said he was stripped of all his clothes, covered from head to toe with a strange gel. He was then led into a strange semicircular room through a doorway that had strange symbols written all over it. Whoa. The room of the beings took samples of Boas's blood from his chin, and after, he was then taken to a 3rd room and left alone for around an hour and a half. During this time, some kind of gas was pumped into the room, which made Boas become violently ill. Wow.
Huh. So,
I can't believe I've never heard of him.
Well, there's a lot of cases like this. So, what I want to say, Danny, is that sexual intercourse is everywhere in the abduction accounts, and it has this long prehistory in the history of religions. This is what I was trying to say earlier. And I want to speak about the abduction cases and the sexual components of them in this larger historical context. And one of the reasons I think that abduction cases are so problematic is for religious reasons, frankly. I think to the extent they're heterosexual, they involve human males and female deities or female aliens, they don't fit in anywhere into the traditions.
Yeah, this is David Huggins, and he has these drawings. You've watched his documentary?
I'm in the documentary.
Are you really?
Yeah.
How did I miss that? I haven't watched the documentary in over a year.
There's a whole chapter on, and I mean, Brad comes to Houston and he interviews me about David.
You know Brad?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Of course you know Brad. He made the documentary.
Yeah, Brad. Oh, of course I know all about this.
Wow, it is such a fascinating story.
Well, there again, it definitely involves sexuality, and you know, what do you do with that? Well, one of the things you do with that is you relate it to these earlier accounts of mystical encounter and sexuality.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say, that there's this bigger story here. And people will look at Huggins, or they'll look at Villas-Boas, or Strieber, by the way, is heavily sexualized as well.
Right.
They'll look at those cases and they'll say, well, this guy's just crazy. I'm like, no, he's not. It fits into this larger pattern that goes back actually thousands of years. So that's what I'm trying to do with these questions and then the abduction accounts. And this, of course, is what gets elided or erased in contemporary conversations about technology and propulsion systems and the military and nation states. All the abduction stuff just gets cut off.
It does.
Yeah. Well, this is why. What do you do with this?
This is too crazy, right? This is too weird and crazy.
But it happens. And
being molested by a female alien who takes your baby hybrid to outer space.
Well, so Elizabeth was in a garden and saw mountains and talked to God as a male. I mean, again, this is the nature of these kinds of experiences, Danny, and this is what I'm trying to say.
What did you make of David when you talked to him?
So I just spoke to David on the phone.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did. I didn't meet him. I just spoke to him on the phone.
Oh, I thought you meant you just recently talked to him. Okay. You didn't meet him in person.
Yeah, I think David, again, is telling us the truth, and he's painting the truth as he remembers it. I think these people are being very honest, and in David's case, going out of his way to illustrate what he remembers happening. I think we need to use all of our tools, all of our disciplines, all of our histories to understand these things and not just dismiss them as hallucinatory or crazy. That's what I think.
So in the context of religious history, what were people saying specifically about these sexual encounters?
Well, they often interpret them demonically, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it was women who were having sex with the devil and becoming witches or magical practitioners. There were always ways to condemn the human being for these kinds of encounters. If a nun, for example, was mystically married to Christ, that's okay. That became part of the tradition, but only, again, under certain circumstances. They were still essentially harassed by the Inquisition. You know, Teresa of Avila was very concerned about the Inquisition, by the way. And when she wrote her Vita, her life, they locked it away. You know, they put it in a safe, essentially. And her confessors asked her to give the finger to the presence. Essentially, they called it giving the fig, but it was essentially giving the finger, because the idea was is if you were vulgar with the devil would go away, you know.
Vulgar with the devil.
Yeah. So my point is not that I believe the demonic interpretations, but that's what we have done historically, is we have demonized people who have these experiences, and I'm trying to say, please stop that.
Right.
Please don't do that. Let's look at the sexual components as they're reported, whether it's David Huggins or Whitley Strieber or Antonio Villas-Boas or whoever it is. Mm-hmm. And remember, those are 3 men, by the way, and that's.
But they're getting molested by women.
Yes.
Not men, not male aliens.
Yeah, that's correct. And
what do you think that was about? Why would they? It's got to be.
Again, what was that about? I mean, that's the.
I don't know how to process it.
Well, good. That's the conversation, Danny.
Right.
That's what we should be talking about. And do I have an answer to that? No. Do I have?
But you've thought about it more than most people.
I've thought a lot about it. And I personally, one of the things I really think about these cases is that they're heretical or dismissed because they don't fit into our religious narratives, which are all about communing with a male deity, not a female deity.